United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Tuesday, September 5th Board of Aldermen meeting. The first order of business is minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes, and it's been seconded. Are there any corrections or revisions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters not on the agenda. I ask that you wait to be called, and when you're called, walk to the podium, state your name and town of residence, and speak into the microphone so PEG TV can capture your audio. First, we have Shelley Lutz from the PineHill Partnership.
Hi, I'm Shelley Lutz. I live in Clarendon. I brought along the people who helped me in the park, so you actually have faces to their names. I've got Nate and Leonard, and these are my heavy-duty dirt diggers when I need them. So we're here really just to sort of follow up with the URSA grant, where like a year and a half ago, I was in here with Kim, a couple different meetings trying to get the whole grant cycle squared away. So we've completed the grant as far as the reimbursement's going to go, and what we have on here are the yellow lines, and this is all in your handout, and I gave you the handout because I didn't think all of you could see this map. The yellow X's are what the professional trail builder, KSA Built, did. He worked on all the trails across the power line as they were in pretty tough shape just from the exposure, because being in the power line, there's no trees or anything to protect the trail tread. And that power line actually had been blasted out, so it was very, very rocky. So he was able to find dirt with his excavator where we would have been literally hauling it out of the woods. The blue X's are what we did by hand with the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps. And these guys are not extremely well trained. You know, we teach them a lot about trail building when we first get them. And the first crew we had was a pro crew, but there was only 4 of them and 3 of us. So 7 people moving dirt by buckets. You know, we got a lot of work done, but not as much as we would have liked to. So we got all that done. The community crew, which were high school students, came in for 2 weeks, and they worked really, really hard. And I want to tell you, the mosquitoes this year in the park are absolutely horrible. So once they learned they needed to be wearing DEET, that worked out better, and they started bringing more food and water. The thing that I shouldn't say I'm disappointed in, but you can see some of these pink dotted lines with the white dots in them. That's all stuff that we still know we need to address. And that's not to say that there isn't more. Every time I ride in the park, I see more stuff that needs to be addressed. So the maintenance is an ongoing project. The water bars on the pond road, KSA built, got those all refurbished last year. So anyway, so we're in pretty good shape, but like I say, we'll be working, and next year we hope to get a 2-week VYCC crew, and we never know what we're gonna get, but it sounds like it might be a community crew, and again, these are high school kids, so they're high school kids, and there's definitely a difference between high school age and kids that are in college or just out of college, believe it or not, in that couple of years, and just their ability to work and stay focused, because the monotony of digging dirt, moving rocks, digging dirt and moving rocks is the same. So these pictures that I sent you, I'm just going to go through them real quick. So some of the first ones are the organic that we've had to take off, and that's really from the caterpillars that we had the previous 2 years, and the caterpillar dung just kind of went into the lower spots of the trail, and now it's like really thick in some places, and the mosquitoes would levitate out of that stuff. And then you can see some of VYCC is actually moving dirt with the buckets, playing with the dirt. The dirt was really wet, so it made sand castles really, really well. And then the pry bars. So it's always fun to teach the kids how to teach them leverage with a pry bar, because none of them have usually had physics. So that's always pretty entertaining. And Nate takes that on. He loves teaching these guys how to use a pry bar. And they get it after a while, but it doesn't come immediately. And then you can see how we dig dirt. So you can see this one dirt pit with the shovel handle in it. I mean, that's how deep we dug that dirt pit. It was a really good dirt pit. Most of dirt pits are not that good up in the park because it's all rock. And what we use are white marking paint to mark the edges of the trail where we want a sump. In this case, it was a drain. Sometimes it's lines across the trail, or we're tagging a rock that we want to pull out. So they have very specific markings, and they learn what our code is after a day. And if they have questions, they come back and ask, so we don't end up with rocks being pulled out of someplace we don't need to have a rock pulled out. And just more pictures of organic. And then the last picture on the second page is we actually had to redig this inside edge out. So that is, it's hard to tell in this picture. We're digging that edge out to create a ditch on that inside edge so we can get the water to drain down the inside corner and then run across the trail in what we call a rolling grade dip. Next page is Watkins Wood Road with Rosie. This was a vernal spring that probably produced about 10 gallons a minute in the springtime. It would literally bubble up out of the ground like a geyser. So we finally decided to put a culvert in there. And then these pictures where there's no leaves on the trees and the snow, the first two pictures, that's the same trail. It's a before picture and an after picture of Upper Jersey Turnpike. And then the last page of me is the map that I've already talked about. So anyway, that's what we've accomplished in the park this year, and it's all thanks to you folks giving us the okay to go ahead on the URSA grant before we actually had the final document, and it was almost an $80,000 grant. So eyes are open for more grants to try to fund the rest of our trails here that need TLC. Any questions, comments? We have some trail maps that you guys can have. We're getting passed around. Tracy, you know how to put those down in your office and hand them out to people when they come in?
Okay, yep, I'll do that.
So, anyway.
Alderwoman Davis and then Alderwoman Taddeo.
Thank you.
Yep.
You do an amazing job. Well, you and your group, absolutely.
And Regina came in. She's on our board of
You do an
directors.
amazing,
so,
amazing job for the city,
Yeah.
and it's very much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Alderwoman Taddeo.
I also just wanted to thank you so much for your work for the park, for city residents, and for attracting people from out of state to come. I've been biking in the park on a couple occasions and run into people from out of state that are here for this park. So thank you for all you do.
we talked to a couple gals from North Carolina today. Hadn't been riding anyplace else but PineHill Park. Talked to some guys from Rangeley, Maine on Sunday, and they don't even go up to the Northeast Kingdom, up to the Kingdom Trails anymore. They've been riding in PineHill Park for like 5 years. They hit Slate Valley. And what people are realizing is that between Poultney, Rutland, Killington, and I'm not saying the resort, but Gifford Woods, Sherburne Trails, you got Green Mountain Trails, let's go up to Rochester and over to Woodstock. There's probably 300 miles of trails in what, a 40-minute drive from Rutland. So that's, nobody else in the state has that. So anyway.
It's amazing.
All set? All right.
Thank you
We're
so
out
much,
of
Shelley.
here.
Thank you very much.
All right, next we have Planning and Zoning Administrator Strunesty with some communications about community events related to potential zoning changes.
Yep, so over the last few years we've been working on the new zoning regulations. This past spring we ended up re-engaging with our consultant from Place Sense. Her name's Brandy Saxon. In conjunction with her and the Planning Commission, we have organized 5 walks throughout the city. The purpose of the walks is to essentially provide an overview of the development patterns in those areas and answer any questions the public may have as we work towards hopefully getting our new zoning regs this year or at the beginning of next year. So just for everyone that's not here, I was just going to list off the walks real fast. We have one in the southwest that's going to meet at the Vermont Achievement Center on September 6th. That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. There's one in the northeast, meeting at Northeast Elementary School. That's going to be September 11th, which is Monday. That will also be at 6 p.m. We will meet in the southeast quadrant of the city at Allen Street campus on Tuesday, September 12th at 6 p.m. And then for the latter two, we're going to meet both on Saturday, September 16th. So we have one we're calling the Central Walk. That's going to meet at Rutland Intermediate School at 10 a.m. on September 16th. And then the final one will be at the George Jetty Complex at 1 p.m. on September 16th. So any questions?
Questions from members of the board? Seeing none.
I guess I have one.
Oh, Alderwoman Davis.
How did you pick the streets? I mean, like, I'll say to the northwest section is so large.
Yeah. Yes.
How did you decide on one street versus another?
Yeah, so with our consultant, we were looking at different development patterns. So, for example, there's a lot of areas of the city where the houses were built in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they're immediately next or adjacent to other areas of the city that were built in the 1940s and then the 1980s. So you really get a cross section of how development came into the city over the course of a century. And you can see how in the 1800s they built everything on one side of the property or the other, and then kind of towards the middle of the 20th century they showed driveways, so everything's off put to the side. And then as you get to when zoning was really in effect, and you can see where setbacks came into effect, and so you really get a difference in each of those areas.
That's the one follow-up. So there's one tomorrow. How is the public aware that there is one for Southwest tomorrow?
So we did advertise in the Rutland Herald this past Saturday, and it's been on the website, and with the help of President Talbot, we were able to get it through Facebook. So we are working. That was going to be the hardest one to schedule, and we kind of were running out of time due to the days getting shorter and trying to guess which days would be the best weather. So.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Thank you very much. Oh, additional comments? All right. Are there any other members of the public who wish to address the board on matters not on the agenda? Yes. Will you step up to the podium here? Welcome.
My name is Ann Kerr, and last week I sat in on an open hearing about a vicious dog attack charge against a service dog that was protecting, in my opinion, its boundaries, because somebody who thought in doing the right thing was trying to release a leash from underneath somebody's wheelchair, and the dog did not get addressed prior to the person reaching in, and so bit this person. And so it was an unexpected violation to their area, which resulted in a bite, and subsequently the dog was charged with a vicious dog attack as a result of that. So it was mentioned by Carrie Savage that there's a possibility that this has been talked about in the past, that the wording could be changed in this particular paperwork for animal control. And so that's why I'm here, is to place a motion to rethink the verbiage that is used in the wording for these particular dog attack paperwork.
Yeah, Alderwoman Davis?
Question, and
Yep.
I'll ask the city attorney. I'm assuming in relationship to the ordinance that probably, I haven't read the ordinance in a long time, in regards to what they define as vicious, I'm assuming?
Yes, there's a definition in there regarding what is defined as vicious. It has a particular specific legal connotation in the confines of the ordinance. And it's also in state law. That's not to say we couldn't contemplate changes to the ordinance or language there, but it would have to be defined specifically.
Or at least make a definition as to specifics with regards to that. Because a vicious dog attack is when a dog really goes after someone and rips them apart, versus a service dog, which is taught to respect its boundaries, and somebody just, violates that, so they protect their area as well as their person. That needs to be more defined.
So because Alderwoman Savage isn't here, I'll mention that when I represented the board on animal control hearings, there was significant debate about that term vicious and whether it was always the most appropriate term, but it is the term in the ordinance. So every member of the animal control board felt there could be different terms or a more nuanced ordinance. So if a member of this board wanted to make a motion to refer this to charter and ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to refer discussion of the ordinance to Charter and Ordinance Committee. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for bringing this before the board. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak to the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to, oh yeah, go right ahead.
I will make this very quick and easy, painful. I know you guys are trying hard to keep the city clean. I know you are. I know I like your job. You know, continue doing that. The park down at the Walmart's area is getting worse. It's all the way down to the Walmart's, down through his garbage everywhere. I'm picking it up at times, I bring a bag, picking it up, put it in the garbage. And the bus stops, I do help out with the bus. I'm on the board with them to straighten out things. So they are going to work on their end with the bus stops, what's always missing, where the benches are. And that's practically it. So.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you tell us your name for the record?
Lori
Okay. Thank you, Lori.
Borelli.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to communications from the mayor.
Thank you, Lori. And we do have the rec department that goes down and cleans the park all the time, so I'll make sure they do an extra sweep. I know there's been a lot more activity in that space lately. Okay. Tonight, first thing on my list is an appointment. So on your desks, you have a nomination for a planning commissioner, Jacob Paluda. Jacob is a pretty active member of our community. He's part of RYP. We see him at Cedar events, and he's actually come to the planning commission meetings before and participated in them as well. He is in the real estate business, so it's actually probably a pretty good fit. His resume is attached. I ask you to table nomination till the next meeting and give him a call if you have any questions.
To table.
So we have a motion to table the nomination, and it has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Fantastic. We're going to depart from my normal routine a little bit here. I do want to talk about one quick thing, and then I'm going to talk about public safety. Well, two quick things in the public safety. One, I did have the opportunity to have a meeting with the Office of Economic Opportunity. They are the state's, or they're a department under the Department of Children and Families that helps with the funding of different pieces of that process. Sarah Phillips is the person that I was talking to, and they, based on the plan that we all discussed in that committee meeting, have so far offered to fund money specifically for planning and programming efforts to end homelessness in Rutland City. So that they said they'll set aside $240,000 for the city of Rutland to that end. So if you remember from the committee meeting, we talked about those two job descriptions. This would fund kind of in their eyes, a combination of those two to have that work. With Mary sitting here, the discussion did continue on to how through other agencies at the state, we can continue to look at the housing pieces. And then I'll also be meeting later this week with Dick Corsell to kind of have a conversation of where Community Care Network comes in. We have a little work to do to get to the point where we see those funds. They're going to put together a program from a kind of a grant approach where we'll still apply. I mean, it's the funds are there for us. We still have to go through the grant process, so I'll work with Barbara to get that done, and then we'll talk about how to appropriately put that person either in Project Vision or in a different space, and whether we want that to be an employee or we want to go to a consultant for that. Any questions on that? Okay. Real quick, wanted to say thank you. I've been doing a couple of these. Man, things get busy in the city, and right now, as most of you know, Judy, our HR director, took a position as this town manager in Proctor. So we have been without HR. We're working through that process of where we want to go to replace that position. But in the meantime, our city treasurer, our payroll administrator, our city attorney, and my assistant have all stepped up to the plate to really help out. So I just wanted to put a thank you out there. They're all doing extra work. They're all putting in extra effort. I've got a couple of things on my plate too, but really they're kind of picking up the slack in the interim, and I just wanted to say thank you to them. All right, so public safety. I'm going to actually read this because it took a lot of thought, so I apologize for looking down at my paper, but I just want to make sure that I'm saying things the way I want to say them. I tend to generally be a positive person, and I stay true to that, and I do believe that Rutland City is headed in a positive direction. That being said, we in Rutland are not immune to public safety issues that are happening all over our state and our country. We, however, are a small community with many that care deeply, and I am certainly one of those people. That care and concern for the safety of our families and our children is something that we are constantly focused on here at City Hall and within our police department. The shooting in our city this week was unacceptable for any community, and for someone such as myself who grew up here, I have been proud of the fact that Rutland has always been a safe place to live, and the events we saw last week affect me deeply. Public safety is a very broad topic, but to simplify, we want to feel safe in our homes, businesses, and in our city streets. We want to be able to shop in our stores and feel safe walking to our cars. We want to be in our neighborhoods and know that our kids are safe while they're playing outside. In order to continue our work on Rutland as a safe place to live, we continue to recruit officers to our police department, working towards a full roster of officers that patrol our streets. This is a challenging process. The police are very hard to recruit for right now. It's very difficult, but our police department has done a fantastic job with the cards that they've been dealt. This alone won't help. Those who are bad actors must be held accountable for their actions. When held accountable, those bad actions diminish, and others witness that behavior and understanding of that process is not acceptable in our community. Right? If you think about accountability as humans, we have accountability all through our lives with our spouses, our friends, and that accountability extends to our community. Today, holding bad actors accountable presents a challenge in our state and our city. With court cases backed up in the thousands, and those committing crimes will not see a courtroom for many years in many cases. These same individuals, according to the data, are also repeat offenders, putting additional strain on our officers. Next week, I'll be meeting with Governor Scott to discuss the need for him to fill his 2 appointments for judgeships in Rutland County. There are 2 open positions right now, one for Rutland and one for Rutland-Bennington. Both are budgeted and funded, and they must be filled, in my opinion, immediately. I will also be asking for special attention to be paid to the Rutland County State's Attorney's Office budget line items so that they can receive extra financial support, that they need to hire and fill their vacant positions in their office. Both of these actions will allow for the movement of these backlog cases and the ability to hold those bad actors accountable. We also need to look into what we can do within our city to provide additional measures of public safety. There are 3 things that we can discuss as a city that I believe could make an additional difference, and these are just 3 things right now. I'm sure there's more that we can do. The first one, camping on city property. We currently have an ordinance that says camping in city parks is not allowed. If discussion with the police chief and a few others, I believe that we should explore the broader topic of expanding this ordinance or creating a new one to expand to no camping on any city property. I'll be reestablishing the Board of Health. The Board of Health is a great deal of power. They really do. In our charter, they have a ton of power to ensure the health and safe living environments in our city. As I reestablish the board, we need to have a discussion about the guidelines that we want that board to follow. And the third thing that comes up frequently, but I think we need to have a discussion on it, and I don't know that we have a fix, is panhandling. Panhandling has become a frequent thing in certain areas in Rutland City, and although not illegal, it does make many feel unsafe and at times even harassed or threatened. We need to have a conversation around what can legally be done to deter these actions in our community. Therefore, I would like to send the discussion of all three of these items, camping on city property, Board of Health guidelines, and panhandling, to the Public Safety Committee for discussion.
All right, so we have a motion to refer discussion of these items to public safety. It's been seconded. Any debate or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Great, thank you. Well, that is being discussed. We'll continue to work towards fully staffing our Rutland City Police Department and finding creative ways to add to our public safety toolkit. Once again, a big thanks to our City Police Department, our Fire and Building and Zoning for all of their efforts. They're all going above and beyond. Every single one of them is doing something outside of what they would normally do in most of these situations. And a special thank you to our neighboring towns that continue to support our departments when it's needed. Thank you. That's it tonight.
Thank you. Alderwoman Davis?
So in regards to the public safety, who is supporting the police department on a regular basis? I mean, as far as personnel, do we have members of the state police or the sheriff or others who are available to support us on a regular basis when we're so understaffed?
So it's a great question. During this, the tragedy with Jessica, all sorts of departments stepped up, right? We had dispatchers come in and run our dispatch center for weeks on end while other people were out. And so that was kind of an ad hoc approach. There's not necessarily a structured approach right now. So the chief and I have been talking about how do we find part-time a part-time path, right? To say officers from one department can come and backfill, or we can call another department and say, here's the support. So in both public works and fire, we have emergency response that can cross support very naturally. That doesn't really exist for policing in Rutland as much. So we've seen Rutland Town step up and help. We've seen the Parks Department, the wardens step up and help. We've seen state police step up and help, but not in an official capacity. Yeah.
So if I may. So I think one thing too, this board and our community as a whole has ownership in public safety as well. And when I say that, it's how we look at this community. Do we look at it as Rut Vegas, which drives me crazy? Or do we look at it at Rutland City, a place to live, work, and play? Yes, we have warts. Every community has warts, but it's how we look at them and how we proceed to go by them. And this board has a role in it, and I can only speak for myself. But sometimes I'm reading more in the paper than I'm aware of as a board member. And I encourage you to communicate with us. I know that sometimes the mayor or the board president cannot know the specifics, but I'll just give an example. The shooting. An email. There's been a shooting in the city on Cherry Street. We don't know all the details, just to make you aware. Because we receive the phone calls, and sometimes they're telling me what's going on before I know what's going on. It puts kind of you in an uncomfortable position. That's not my role. My role is to help serve the community. I can't do that if I'm misinformed. Prospect Street, the closure of. I've gotten a lot of calls saying, why are we doing that? I don't know why we're doing that. Now, I'm not a member of the Board of Highway, but it's just little bits of communication that help build our community. And I think, too, when we talk to each other out there, that if someone is, you saw a lot of things on Facebook the last couple of days about the shooting and things like that. And it's people are upset. People are angry, but it doesn't make it better. We have to find a way to make it better and take the community back, so to speak. And so I just want to say, as a member of this board, I'm available. I'm willing. I chair of public safety, and if I can help, I'll be glad to.
That is a great offer, and I am very happy to continue to, maybe I can send out a weekly update with things that happen, or if there's an emergency like that, pass it along. Absolutely, happy to do that. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Great, thanks.
Next, we are on to additions and deletions to the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, Reports and letters from department heads and officials. First, we have Barbara Spaulding from the Rutland Redevelopment Authority with a request to approve and circulate for signatures the resolution of support for the VCDP grant application for East Creek Commons. There's a memo and copy of the resolution on pages 1 to 2 of your packet.
Thank you very much. So earlier this evening, we had the required public hearing for the East Creek Commons project. We also, Mary Cohen and I met with the Community and Economic Development Committee a week or so ago, and Mary gave a presentation of how the project will work and what the expectation will be. And tonight we're following up. The application is due September 12th, and we are asking this board to sign the resolution in support of that application. And Mary is here if you have any other questions.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
So we have a motion to suspend the rules. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And I'll move to circulate the resolution of East Creek Commons to, for signature.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to circulate for signatures, and it's been seconded. Any discussion or questions for Barbara or Mary? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next, we have Barbara Spaulding again with the RRA recommendation to award a business incentive assistance program forgivable loan to Kismet Kitchen. There's a memo and a copy of the application on pages 3 to 7 of your packet.
Thank you. So Laurel Rice is applying for a $10,000 BIAP forgivable loan for her business called Kismet Kitchen at 38 Wales Street. And the RRA board met on August 22nd and reviewed the application and believe that it does meet the requirements or criteria of the policy, and are asking that you consider tonight approving that application. And Laurel is here to talk about her project and to answer any questions.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Laurel Rice. I'm a Rutland City resident. I'm working on my project, Kismet Kitchen at 38 Wales Street. It's kind of a combination project, so both food to go and also a place someone can rent a licensed kitchen to facilitate their own business growth. So I'm here to answer any questions you have.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And I'll move for the approval of a $10,000 BIAP forgivable loan to Kismet Kitchen LLC.
Second.
So we have a motion to approve the forgivable loan. It's been seconded. Any discussion or questions? Alderman McCann.
I'll just comment that I appreciate the tack you're taking in looking at allowing the kitchen to be used by other businesses in the meantime. I've seen that work elsewhere where there was a sort of a primary business using a kitchen, and when they had their off hours, other businesses could come in and make different types of food or try out different menus. So I think that's pretty cool to have that option. Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions? Alderwoman McClure.
Thank you for coming tonight, Laurel. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Just to piggyback off what Alderman McCann said, I believe at one point in the city we did have a test kitchen sort of thing like that, and that service has been lacking for so long. So thank you for filling that void. Thank you for doing this, and I look forward to enjoying your food. Thank you very much. Very excited.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the forgivable loan. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Good luck.
Next, we have Treasurer Markowski with a request for board approval and signatures on loan agreements for combined sewer overflow structures. There's documents on pages 8 to 22 of your packet.
Hi, so the first item that I had was the approval of that loan agreement for the CSO check valves project. And the engineers brought the application and plan to this board for approval on May 1st. So the project is really part of our long-term control plan, and is also, if we complete this project, it is likely going to be fully subsidized. So we're signing the loan agreement. Upon completion, we may not have any repayment on this. I was looking for board approval for this loan.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
So we have a motion to suspend the rules, and it's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And I'll move for the approval of the loan documents for Loan RF1-338-2.0 for the CSO check valves project in the amount of $63,000, and circulate the document for Board of Aldermen Treasurer's signature to be attested by the city clerk.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve and circulate for signatures the loan agreement, and it's been seconded. Any discussion or comments? Alderman McCann.
I know that working on our combined sewer overflow issues is not flashy. It doesn't always get attention, but it's definitely something that I appreciate that the city is continuing to work on. So as these things come up and we support them and we make these improvements, it's a good thing. Thanks.
All right, seeing nothing additional, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. I have a copy, Tracy, for circulation.
Okay.
Oh, there are 2 pages, I believe.
All right, and we have Treasurer Markowski again with updated finance reports and a summary for the general fund and proprietary funds for the period ending June 30th. This was emailed to board members.
Okay, I probably won't get into a lot of detail on these, but the reason that I provide these is we will start doing some audit adjustments. Those will likely impact some of those expense numbers. So when we go to do the budget, you might see, oh, why is salt down? Well, because we booked inventory. So I'd like you to see the actual expense and be able to have that when we get there, when you're looking, considering the budget in FY25. What did we do last year? This is close to actual. This will be close to actual once we start doing adjustments. So I do want you to see those. And I tried to highlight general fund, particular how we did revenue-wise, expense-wise. And I wondered if anyone, upon review, had any specific questions on the general fund.
I do.
Alderwoman Davis.
Just a question about pilot. What was budgeted? What's actual? Is it just that we haven't had a full collection?
The pilot, when I looked at it, there was one installment that seemed to be missing in one, so I need to follow up on that.
Okay.
So I think that that's available, just hasn't been collected. So once we get it, it will go to last year. Yep.
If I may ask a follow-up. Do we know, and I don't know if that's a question for you, Mary, or a question for the mayor, when is the last time we lobbied the state of Vermont for an increase in pilot, or we got an increase in pilot? I don't know if Cheryl or Larry remember in their days in the legislature when we last got an increase.
I don't know when. Do you
Mayor
know
Dunges?
that?
I look back 4 years, it hasn't increased or changed.
And maybe, maybe, just with the cost of things, it's really worth having conversations on that sometime with the delegation. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any additional comments or questions for the treasurer? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to take a look at the water fund, sewer fund, parking fund, and transit fund. I included the transit fund even though we don't budget that, but we actually approved the last budget. And when you look at that, it's not self-sustaining. It is, we had revenue of $214,000 and expenses of $281,000. So we're getting further and further in the hole on that one. Just want to highlight that. Also, parking fund, same scenario, but look at that parking fund. We actually budgeted a loss in parking. So we need to be looking, especially when we're budgeting. I think we made some changes in the 24 budget that might help the parking fund this year, but really looking at what we're doing there. So that one, sewer fund, not meeting revenue targets and overspending. And I just took a look at that, and sludge removal was a greater expense than budgeted, and chemicals. In that fund, that overage is, so much of it is to do with just the cost of chemicals that we didn't know. So I'll point that out. And also
in the water fund, again, not meeting your revenue expectation and just being overspent in that fund as well.
Mayor?
So just a comment on that sludge removal, that's, our cost of getting rid of the final, dried sludge that we send off to Casella or whoever takes our waste has gone over the past 10 years, $1,000 a year. It's up over $800,000 a year and will continue to go up. So we have to start looking at new ways of disposing of that sludge that are slightly more cost effective. So I started talking to them. I was beginning, but Mary's right, chemical prices have more than doubled in some cases.
Right.
Yeah, just a question.
Alderwoman Davis?
We take other towns' waste, do we not adjust according to the cost of the sludge?
Yeah, so our septage rates, our
Right.
take rates, we adjusted that, I think, 2 years ago, maybe
Right.
a year and a half
I think
ago.
so, right.
And I do believe we might want to look into doing that again, just because our costs have gone up.
Right.
Going through the budgeting process this time around, having those conversations with Bob, I'll be able to tell you by November whether we need to have that
That's
conversation.
good. Yeah, because that's usually how we kind of get hold, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Any other questions on financials?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Markowski. All right, next is reports of standing committees. First, we have Alderwoman Davis with a report from the Finance Committee meeting of August 23rd. This is on page 23 of your packet.
So the Finance Committee met August 23rd at 5:30. Members present were Alderman Barbagallo, Adam Savage, and Chairman Davis. Others present were Alderman Coopoli, President Talbot, Mayor Dunges, Treasurer Markowski, and Chief Lovett. Also present was Ellie McGarry from the Methodist Church. The first topic for discussion was the request for Companions for Wholeness for $15,000 to continue to feed the homeless and those in need in Rutland County. Mrs. McGarry informed the committee of the continued need for service and stated that she has seen increases as well since the flood. Companions for Wholeness is a 501c3 associated with the Rutland United Methodist Church. She does receive some funding from the church and other partners in the area. She has received grants as well. Besides food, clothing is also available, and they have services that they receive from the Rutland Free Clinic and the Vermont Department of Health that are offered. They also receive donations from the Vermont Food Bank, the local food bank, and fresh vegetables from our Farmers Food Center. The last donation from the city was $7,500 one time from Mayor Allair's contingency fund. Mayor Dunges felt that at this time he was unable to commit any funds due to a number of requests that are pending. He also stated he had upcoming meetings with the state and would share her need for funding. The committee offered options to Mrs. McGarry, such as all area churches holding special collections on a Sunday with the profits to go to this cause. They could also obtain signatures if needed to go on the city ballot. The committee thanked her for all she has done for the community and took no action. This is for information only. Okay. The next topic was the opioid funds and usage. The city has received approximately $150,000 to date. The city will receive around $25,000 for the next 15 years and $5,000 yearly thereafter. Lawsuits are still pending, and these amounts may be subject to change. The opioid fund regulations are precise and appear can be only used for treatment, education, and prevention in relation to opioid disorder. If the funds are incorrectly used, the city would then have to pay them back. It was suggested that we reach out to someone who is experienced in this issue, a professional who can look at the Rutland perspective and know where the gaps exist in treatment and education and prevention. The mayor will explore those possibilities. The issue will remain in committee, and this is for information only. And then our last topic was a request for funding for the decontamination shower for the fire department via Chief Lovett. The committee felt that this did not currently meet the criteria for the opioid funds. The mayor felt he could take approximately $8,000 to complete the shower from his contingency fund. No motion was then required, and the committee adjourned at 6:20 p.m.
Thank you, Alderwoman Davis. Next, we have Alderwoman Taddeo with a report from the Community and Economic Development Committee meeting from August 27th. This is on pages 24 to 25 of your packet.
There were 3 topics. They were East Creek Commons, the creation of a capital improvement plan committee, and assessing 2 HUD programs to see if we would be eligible for funding. Committee members present were Chair Taddeo, Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Hooker, Alderwoman McClure, Alderman McCann. Others present were Mayor Dungis, President Talbot, Alderwoman Savage, Alderman Barbagallo, Administrator Andrew Sternisty, Barbara Spaulding, Mary Cohen, Treasurer Mary Markowski. The meeting was called to order at 5:30 p.m. The Community and Economic Development Committee met to discuss the East Creek Commons project, the creation of a capital improvement plan committee, and 2 HUD programs to see if we are eligible for funding. The programs are the Distressed Cities and Persistent Poverty Technical Assistance Program and the Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Program. First, Mary Cohen from the Rutland Housing Trust presented on the project at East Creek Commons. She has applications in place for multiple loans and expects to close on the project in the spring. There will be a mix of affordable housing and market rate housing. The public hearing for this project is set for Tuesday, September 5th at 6:45 p.m. At this time, no action was needed by the board. Next, Mayor Dungis presented on creating a capital improvement plan committee. The committee would review requests that are submitted to GovPilot for capital improvement projects. The proposed committee would consist of 5 members: the mayor, the city planner, the planning commissioner, the RRA director, and a member of the Board of Aldermen. Alderwoman Davis made a motion to create a capital improvement plan committee with 5 positions consisting of the mayor, the city planner, the planning commissioner, the RRA director, and a member of the Board of Aldermen. The motion passed 5-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to create a capital improvement plan committee with 5 positions consisting of the mayor, the city planner, the planning commissioner, the RRA director, and a member of the Board of Aldermen, and it has been seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Lastly, Administrator Sternisty presented on 2 grants from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, that the city is eligible for. Both grants do not require a match from the city. The Distressed Cities grant could be used to hire a consultant to help the city with municipal planning. HUD will ultimately determine how much money to give the city and how much money could be used for planning. Mayor Dungis said we can use this study to gather the data, which can then be used to justify further funds and grants for Rutland City. Alderwoman McClure made a motion to authorize the city to apply for the Distressed Cities and Persistent Poverty Technical Assistance Program grant to be used for municipal planning. The motion passed 5-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, so motion to authorize the city to apply for the Distressed Cities and Persistent Poverty Technical Assistance Program. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Alderwoman Davis made a motion to authorize the city to apply for the Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Program grant. The motion passed 5-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, motion to authorize the city to apply for the Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Program grant has been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The meeting adjourned at 6:18 p.m.
All right, Alderwoman Taddeo is up again with a report from the General Committee meeting from August 29th. This is on page 26 of your packet.
Committee members present were myself, Alderman Coopoli, Alderman Barbagallo, Alderwoman Hooker, and Alderwoman Savage. Others present were President Talbot, Alderman Adams, Alderwoman Davis, Attorney Megan LaChance, Mayor Dungis, Alderwoman McClure, Alderman Gillum, and Andrew Sternisty. The meeting was called to order at 5:30 p.m. The purpose of this meeting was to discuss expanding the Planning Commission from 5 to 7 members and a process for adding city agency and board reports and minutes to the city website. The mayor explained that it is difficult to hold meetings when the Planning Commission consists of only 5 members because a quorum is needed and everyone is not always available on the same days. The solution is to add 2 more members to make it easier for the Planning Commission to meet. Attorney LaChance stated that the city statute says a city planning commission shall have between 3 to 9 members. Our city charter and our city ordinances do not specify a number of commissioners, so it's up to the board and the mayor to determine a good number. It was discussed whether to make the Board of Aldermen member position a voting position, but no action was taken by the committee at this time. Alderman Barbagallo made a motion to create a resolution to expand the Planning Commission from 5 to 7 members effective Monday, September 18th, 2023. The motion passed 5-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to expand the Planning Commission from 5 to 7 members, effective Monday, September 18th, and it's been seconded. Any discussion? Alderman McCann.
Didn't we just look at an appointment before this was approved? by this vote? Is there any, like, do we need to make sure that they were done in order or no?
Isn't there a vacancy on the planning commission?
Oh, is there? Okay, then never mind. Thank you.
That's not for the two new positions.
Got it. All right, thank you.
Very good. Any additional discussion or debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, the committee discussed the pros and cons of adding city agency and city board minutes to our website. It would cost the city money because it would take a city employee time to upload all the minutes each week. A simple solution was proposed that the city website could be updated with a hyperlink to each city agency and city board website page where their minutes are contained so that the public will have easier access to information. Alderwoman Savage made a motion to update the city website to include hyperlinks to city agency and city board websites. The motion passed 5-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to update the city website to include hyperlinks for outside board minutes, and it's been seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The committee adjourned at 5:51 p.m.
All right, next is Alderman Gillum's report from the Recreation Committee meeting from August 29th. Because he is not able to be here, I will read those minutes. All right, so the committee met on August 29th, 2023. Members present, Alderwoman Savage, Davis, McClure, Adams, and Gillum. Other BO members present, Barbagallo, Coopoli, Talbot, and Hooker. Others present, Kim Peters, Tyler Dolan, and Mary Markowski. The meeting was called to order at 6:30 p.m. The first item on the agenda was the proposal for Vermont Achievement Center programming pool. Kim Peters updated the committee on the pool program at VAC, past performance, and the proposal of the program for January 2024. There was a major discussion about over-budget costs on the recreation budget due to the electrical utility cost, labor cost on summer program, and fuel expense on facilities. Although the VAC pool program did make its goals and was successful with users of the program and was profitable for the department, some of the aldermen present were concerned with some of the other programs coming in over budget. The department defers from starting the season in October 2023 and moves to January 2024 to May 2024. This will not happen until approved in the FY25 budget. If the city does not approve in the next budget, then the program will not happen January 24. There will be a request to the mayor to add to the FY25 budget. The Rec Committee will review in December 24 the budget process. No action will be taken by the committee, and the issue remains with the Rec Committee. Next is the Giorgetti Arena update replacement. Tyler Dolan briefed the committee on the status of the refrigeration system at the arena. The unit has, over its time, 51 years, and was purchased secondhand in 2008. The rink has been successfully operating for 15 years. The average life expectancy of the unit is 20 years. The system is operated with liquid ammonia, which is a major concern due to the age of the system. The issue is the system is showing age and the department needs to start planning. The estimate of replacement of the refrigeration system and improvement to insulate the roof and walls would be $1.6 million. There's about $1 million in the Giorgetti Trust Fund, and it was suggested to use only a portion of the funds and request the rest of the project to come from future capital funds. The key is we are on borrowed time with the system due to hazardous materials. There's some concern for public safety. This report is for information only and no action is currently needed. The issue remains in committee. Any questions? I don't know that I have the answers. Next, Alderwoman Davis again with a report of the Finance Committee from August 30th, 2023.
The Finance Committee met August 30th at 5:30 p.m. The topic was the 1% local tax in regards to funding the pension. Members present were Alderman Barbagallo, Adams, McGann, Savage, and Chairman Davis. Also present were President Talbot, Coopoli, Gillum, and Taddeo. Also Treasurer Markowski and Chief Lovett. The meeting was called to order at 5:30 p.m. The discussion was referred by the Pension Deficit Committee to add additional funding to the pension to overcome the existing underfunding. Alderman Coopoli shared the information that was discussed with the actuary and the need to add dollars to the fund. If nothing was done and the board just continued with its current process in the fiscal budget, the plan would run out of money in the year 2048. The suggestion was to add an additional $300,000 to the fund using the 1% local option tax. The funding would have no impacts on the tax rate and would achieve tax relief. There was debate of could we or should we do more if the funds perform better than projected? Should we just do 30% with a minimum of $300,000 to be added to the pension? Adding the additional funds will waive approximately 7 years off the needed funding. After much discussion, the motion was as follows: to add an additional $300,000 to the pension deficit to the pension deficit, and to be paid $75,000 a quarter as the 1% fund is collected. This will be in addition to the continued funding throughout the budget process, and I so move.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to add an additional $300,000 to the pension deficit to be paid $75,000 a quarter as the 1% local option tax is collected. This is in addition to the continued funding through the budget process, and that's been seconded. Discussion or debate on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And the issue will remain in the Finance Committee. It will be revisited in a year to see how the 1% is performing and adjust the pension contribution if needed.
Very good. All right, moving on to reports of representatives. We have none. Reports of select committees. We have none. Petitions, letters, miscellaneous communications.
I have a miscellaneous
Alderwoman Hooker.
communication. I was approached by a constituent who wanted to sing the praises of FEMA and asked me to pass these words on. As I mentioned to you the other day, the FEMA people were pretty amazing. We had about 6 inches of water in the basement in our basement in the recent storm. Too much storm water in the sewer system. My husband submitted a claim to our insurance, and then someone on a whim also submitted a request to FEMA. Within about a week, a day or two after Becca Ballin had made a trip to Rutland, a FEMA representative was across the street with a neighbor, and my husband asked him to look at our place too. The FEMA staff member came over, saw the photo from the day of the flooding, took measurements, and was courteous and professional. He's told my husband he would be approving our claim and suggested we would see the funds in a few days. He was absolutely correct. In 3 days, the funds were in our account. The whole process took no more than 10 days. Our thanks to FEMA and everyone who supports FEMA. Thanks for passing this on.
Very nice.
That's great. Very good. Thank you. Any additional petitions, letters, or miscellaneous communications? Seeing none. Board of Control Commissioners, we have nothing on the agenda. Board of Cannabis Commissioners, also nothing on the agenda. That brings us to unfinished business. Seeing none. Miscellaneous motions, resolutions, and new business. Alderwoman Davis?
So if I may, in speaking with Andrew, there's been a request to send GovPilot to the Finance Committee so we can talk about, well, what it's cost to date, what the benefits are to the residents of the city, how the system could be used fully, and how we get that information out to the residents of the city. So I'd like to move that to Finance Committee, please.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to refer discussion of GovPilot to the Finance Committee, and it's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Any additional miscellaneous motions, resolutions, new business? Alderman Barbagalla.
It's not a motion, but I just wanted to say thank you to all the organizations that participated in Friday Night Live. I was fortunate enough to attend both of them, and it is truly a successful event. It's very well organized. A lot of people down there having a good time. I saw nothing but smiles and people filling their faces with good food down there. And I think they ought to hold it a little more often next year if possible. It certainly was a good citywide event.
Great. Thank you. Anything additional?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second. So we have a motion to adjourn. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.